Welcome to the weekly close live here on the Passive Income Podcast. Joseph, how are you this week?
Hey, I am doing pretty good. Unlike you, I got a long weekend this week and a 4-day work week, so I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, well, I think you may have seen that at my day job, I have a lot of my contacts and people that I work with are in the U.S. So Monday was a pretty slow day for me as well at work. So don't tell my boss, but I probably this entire week I don't tell my boss I spent a lot of time on Twitter.
If you won't tell my boss that I do that every week, then I won't tell yours that you did it this week.
Yeah, fair
Work
enough. Fair enough.
work
All
from
right,
home perks.
as we get into the closing numbers, every week when it takes me a couple seconds to pull up the shared screen and where we're at, this is your opportunity to plug anything and everything that you want to plug.
I had something I wanted to plug this week, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was now, but
Can't
I
even
have
remember.
forgotten. So I guess we'll go with the old tried and true. I guess, hey guys, marketplace.com. God, every time we do, I've really got to sit down with the guys and ask, hey, how much am I allowed to say publicly? Because all I'm going to say is we're working on something and we've got a lot of NDAs out there right now.
Yeah, right. And oh yeah, ooh, I didn't even realize that. If you have that many non-disclosure agreements, you've got to really be careful of what you say and bite your tongue maybe
Yeah,
sometimes. So
we've got a very, very huge new feature and partnership launching later this year. And we've been focus grouping it, and it's going very, very well.
awesome. No, that's great to hear. All the best to you and John and Fa and the guys over there at Marketplace. You guys are doing some great work. So, like I said,
Much
we're going to get
appreciated.
right into the closing numbers of the week. And for some reason, the stock market went absolutely parabolic in the last 20 minutes. So I'm on the TSX,
I'm glad
Toronto
you
Stock
saw
Exchange,
that.
but I think it was across the board.
I did not
And
know
right
that. That
there,
is so weird.
if you look at right here, 3:40 p.m., 22,092. The last 20 minutes of the day skyrocketed up to 22,269. So,
Maybe we should have watched who reported after close today because somebody must have smashed.
well, it's Friday. Who reports after close on Fridays?
I think we'll talk about that here in about 45 minutes or so.
Sounds good. And then, yeah, similar here. The S&P 500. Sorry there. I 3:38 p.m. at 52.33. And jumps up to the close of 5,277. Here we're back into USD, of course, as everyone knows
Wait,
I'm on.
but before you click off of that, can you do the month chart for the S&P 500 real quick?
Sure.
Real quick, sell in May and go away. How you guys feeling right now?
Yeah,
How?
like May 1st. Did you sell? Yeah, sell in May and go away at May 1st, 5,022. And here at May 31st, 52.77. So,
Yeah, I think this was the S&P's best month in quite a while.
yeah, so maybe is it turning into sell in June and keep going? I don't know.
I
Sell
don't
in
know,
June
but
and wait for the moon.
I like that one. So if you bought May 1st and sold today, you got 5.29% gain. So that's nothing to sneeze at for a 30-day return.
Right. Let's look at the Dow Jones here. Look at this. Again, I clicked back to the one day, 3:38 p.m., 38,391, closing the day at 38,000. Where are we at? 38,686. So
And
that
you
last
know
20 minutes of the day, right across the board on the TSX, the S&P, the Dow Jones, and I'm sure when we get to the Nasdaq, it's probably going to be similar. But
but before you can you talk about the 5-day on the Dow because this is also kind of interesting
sure.
to note.
Ooh,
Oh, there it
lovely.
is. Yeah, so Treasury yields in the U.S. hit like a 4-month high or a 4-week high. I think it was a 4-month high this week. On basically rates are expected to be cut in Canada this summer. Not expected to see a rate cut in the U.S. until late fall, early winter. And as such, the Dow has been getting hammered
Right.
out
Yeah,
of
we're
like how
expecting
long
our
we're waiting for
first rate cuts
rates.
in June and then hopefully more after that. and well, and then again, tomorrow is the first day of June, so I don't know when it's going to happen, but interesting 5 day chart there on the Dow. Kind of yeah. Now I'm curious about the 1 month on the Dow as well.
I mean, that's,
Wow, look what
but
happened here in the middle of May on the
I was
Dow.
it,
And I guess we were talking about this too a week or two ago, how sort of everything was at their all-time highs there, right? All the markets were
oh yeah.
right at those all-time highs there a week or so ago or 2 weeks ago. Canadian dollar. Man, oh man. It's so difficult for me to afford to come down and see. Yes.
I was thinking about this today. I was going to tell you I'm like one more rental property away from saying I'm a Canadian real estate millionaire, which is also half the price of a condo in Toronto, but one problem at a time.
Yeah, exactly, right? Canadian real estate millionaire, but you can't buy a 500 square foot condo in Toronto.
Oh God, no. Granted, I don't think I get approved for a 500 square foot apartment in New York right now, even, but one problem at a time.
Yeah. So basically, Canadian dollar closing the week at 73 cents US, which is kind of where we've been in that range pretty much ever since we started doing these weekly close lives. We've been in that 72 to 74 cent range. There you see the two decimal places disappearing. I hate when it does that, to be honest. Crude oil on the New York Mercantile closing the week at 77.25 USD per barrel. So, hey, oil, you know, oil is oil. It does what it does. We all need it. We all use it every day.
Liquid gold.
Bitcoin never closes. Bitcoin never closes. This obviously is in CAD. Uh, Currently at 92,215 Canadian dollars.
Ooh, Bitcoin had a
And
rough day.
yeah, Bitcoin's been kind of all over the place. Gold, Jerry, gold, closing the week at $2,347, and again we're back into USD. The Nasdaq. Let's see what happened with the Nasdaq. Oh, the Nasdaq did not have. Well, it did have the run up at the end of the day, but it started out higher. It closed down today.
I would say, I
Closing the week
mean,
at 16,735. It had quite the dip midday here.
ooh, but
Down to
let's check out the month chart again. This one's also kind of fun.
Yeah, I definitely
Should,
will, but let's just point out again this last 20-25 minutes of the trading day today, like all the markets went parabolic. That's at 3:36 p.m., 3:34 p.m. at 16,598 and closing the day at 16,735.
Look at
Sorry, you
that
said the 1 month
volume.
chart?
Oh no, I was like, look at that volume today too. 700. What is that? Million additional trades over the average.
Yeah,
Yeah, up about seven
crazy. It
percent on
was
the
a
month.
crazy day in the markets today. I like, and who knows why or who knows what the catalyst was there those last 20 minutes. We might get more news later. We might something might come out tomorrow. Who knows? The Nasdaq. Oh yes, I'm on the 1 month here now on the Nasdaq. So
Yeah,
sorry, you
nice
wanted to mention
return.
something there on the one
I
month?
I, I was gonna say it's kind of weird because usually when we start talking interest rates and things, tech is the first sector that gets hammered, and Nasdaq is the tech sector in a lot of ways. Shout out
Right.
QQQ. That said, now the index is up like 7% on the month. Um, I guess interest rates only affect the Dow now.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
That
The
I
FTSE
honestly,
over there in England. Let's look at the 1 day chart in England because obviously their market closes several hours before ours. Probably about, I think it's 5 hour time difference, and so they did not have. This is at our 3:38 p.m. I think I don't even know how this works. Would that be accounting for their time zones? I don't know.
that is a great question.
Yeah, so shout out to our one viewer over there in the United Kingdom. The FTSE closing the week at 8,275 quid. I got to say it. Great
I,
British
I,
pound.
I Sent you a meme about that over the week, so I knew you'd be waiting to say it.
Yeah, exactly, right. And shout out to Akito, our one viewer watching on Saturday morning in Japan. The one day again,
What the heck
crazy,
happened?
crazy what happened there in Japan. I guess over the course of the trading day yesterday to them, right? Closing the week at 38,487 Japanese yen. And for fun, we'll take a quick look at how I cannot afford to go to Europe either. The Canadian dollar at 67, 68 cents on a euro. So, yeah. And those are the closing numbers. Now, are we ready to get into earnings calls?
As long as we start with Monday.
Well, like I said to you today, with the US holiday on Monday, I was looking for Canadian companies that may have reported on Monday, and I did not find any. So it was like, I guess Monday is not going to be much of a day to talk about on the weekly close live.
I mean, I'm okay with skipping it if you are.
Well, yeah, we pretty much have to because obviously with the U.S. holiday, there were no American companies that reported on Monday, and like I said, I did not find any Canadian companies that reported on Monday. Although right there at the top of the list, before open on Tuesday, we get right into the Canadian banks, Scotiabank being right there front and center. So, thoughts on Scotiabank?
So I've said this before. I'm a big fan of the Canadian banks. Scotia is going to be one that we're going to bring up a few times, especially when we get into Royal on Thursday. What Scotia did wrong versus what Royal did right, because Royal surged for the same reason that Scotia flopped. I say that Scotia's only down a little bit on the week, and also I got to say, I heard you say Scotia Bank so many times. I honestly thought that was just slang until I looked it up this week, and I'm like, no, that's the actual name. Because I mean, obviously, Nova Scotia is a thing. So
Yeah,
I
it's the
always
Bank of
thought,
Nova Scotia, but
yeah.
they're kind of pretty much branded as Scotiabank. So when I drive around, like here in town, the local branch, it says Scotiabank on the outside of the building.
I mean, hey, if it works for him, it absolutely works for him. But looking into their earnings call, Scotiabank basically hit earnings $1.16 actual, $1.14 expected. Like I mentioned, stock's a little bit down on the week. Net income was actually down 2.6 on the year, but revenue was up 5.5%. I didn't check profit margins, but for anybody doing some quick, back of the napkin math at home, that's not good. You want profit margins to go up like that. That's the goal of literally every company, which we're going to talk about here for the next one too, because profit margins surge. But stay tuned for that. But yeah, Scotiabank, your revenue goes up, but your profits drop. Something ain't right.
Well, a
And if we
big
cut,
thing right now with all of the Canadian banks is their loan loss provisions. So they've put a lot aside because
that's
the interest rates are high. So they've put literally, I don't know if I want to say billions, but literally hundreds of millions aside in loan loss provisions to try to, cover their own butts in case mortgages or other like auto loans or whatever that they're lending out goes bad because people suddenly can't afford it because of the high inflation, everything costs more and interest rates skyrocketing, blah blah blah, right?
no, you
So
are
I know that
100%.
was
You are
one of their
100%
big things.
correct. And that's exactly what I was about to say. Credit loss or no, loan loss provisions came in higher than expected.
Yeah,
And net credit losses for the trailing quarter also came in significantly higher than expected. So that's people actually defaulting on their loans.
right. Well, knock on wood, because Scotiabank holds the mortgage on this house. So I just need a
Uh,
100,000 or a million more of you to subscribe to the Passive Income Podcast on YouTube to help me pay that mortgage off.
and if he's feeling generous, he might even pay off mine.
When we get to a million subscribers, of course, right?
I don't know.
No problem.
Knowing Canadian real estate, my mortgage is probably less than yours, and it's probably not close. If
Yeah,
you're
I don't know.
benefiting from the
We'll
market.
talk about that privately because I don't pay that much. I think, anyways. Well, that's something for us to discuss when we don't have an audience.
I'm not talking about your house specifically. I'm just once again making fun of the Canadian real estate market.
Oh, how so?
I'm just saying prices are ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Prices are ridiculous in the big cities, though. Like, yeah, like the Torontos, the Vancouvers, even Calgary, and even Ottawa and Montreal. Obviously Montreal, but the other like kind of big cities. I haven't looked at Halifax in a long time. I'm guessing Halifax is probably still pretty affordable, but who knows?
I know a guy we can call.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. For about another, actually, I'll dox him. For about another month, John from Marketplace is in Halifax. Month and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
Before
Well,
he
Halifax is still a big enough city. You didn't really dox them that much. Like,
he'll also, if you spell John here, he'll really dox him. If you spell John the way you think you're going to spell John, you're really not going to find him.
you'll never find them exactly. So, moving on from Scotiabank, we're just getting started here.
We are.
Do you have anything else before open on Tuesday? A lot of
I
these
d-
names mean zero to me, to be honest.
I feel like I've heard of that. I guess it's Fudu before. I feel like I've heard of them, but I could not begin to tell you what they do. And I did
Right.
not look them up. I know they're an ADR, but that's the extent that I can tell you about them off the top of my head.
Fair enough. I'm
Um,
sure you have thoughts on Cava.
well,
CAVA, I believe is that the ticker symbol?
it
Yes, it
is.
is.
So first off,
And
we got to shout out Tom, the savings captain.
Tom, the savings captain, has been beating the Cava drum for a good 6 or 8 months, if not a year. And it seems he is 100% correct. If we all had to listen to him 8 or 12 months ago, we'd all be rich right now.
I mean, they're not the biggest jump we're going to talk about this week, but they certainly did it. Up a little more than 16% this week. Had a solid beat on earnings, 12 cents actual over 4 cents expected. Which I want to break that down real quick just to say, like 12 cents doesn't sound like a lot, neither does 4. That's a 300% earnings beat. That's huge.
Wow.
Beat revenue pretty solidly. Was on versus analyst expectation. Revenue was up more than 30% year over year. Same store growth was up 2.3% quarter over quarter, which was actually down a little year over year growth. Like Kava's growth in same store is slowly slowing down, which they're getting more, which is basically a lot of the way that I look at it is they're getting more established. I mean,
Right.
once you've got your customer base and you're pretty out there, it's kind of hard to keep finding more. It's again why I don't like the Netflix model. You can only grow so much.
Right.
But that even said, profit margins. I believe this was a net profit margin. I didn't write it down. Somebody in the chat, let me know if I'm wrong. Was 25.2% on average for at restaurant level net profit margin.
Yeah, I was just going to bring
Which,
that point up. They're a restaurant for anyone who doesn't
yes,
know. Now, I'm curious because we don't have these in Canada. Is the brand Cava? Like, are there restaurants just called Cava?
yeah,
Or oh, okay, fair enough.
yeah, yeah. You drive around, you see that Cava sign, and that's exactly what it is. I'll shout them out. I do not hold Cava, even though I'm starting to think maybe I should. But food's good. Food's really good. Um, I'm a little worried about that. I mean, this is kind of on topic, off topic. I'm a little worried about them long term because, like, you see what's happening with Chipotle right now, and Cava has a very similar food model just in the Mediterranean space.
Right.
I'm hoping they can avoid that long term because again, 25.2% net profit margin in a restaurant business is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Cava can long term keep from falling into the Chipotle hole. Which, who am I to say? Let's look up. Good old ticker CMG. Chipotle is
They're trading
up.
at about 3,100 US
Yeah,
dollars.
they're up 38% on the year, almost. So Chipotle is not exactly hurting either. It's one of those you browse social media and you see everybody filming the Chipotle employees. Have you seen that?
Not so. I've only seen Ryan Trahan on in Chipotle banging his burrito. He likes to slap the
He
burrito.
does. That he does. And he likes to get his fun drink. That no.
Shout out to Ryan Trahan.
We know you're
Make
watching.
sure Ryan, make sure to retweet this, Ryan.
But no, the big trend or social media trend right now. So Chipotle across the board. I mean, really since day one, they started high and they're slowly shrinking portions. Um, basically to decrease rate waste and increase profit margins.
Yeah.
And the TikTok trend right now is to film the workers as they make your Chipotle order to basically guilt or publicly shame them into giving you bigger portions.
Oh, right. I did see like one thing about that yesterday, and I didn't even really realize what it was or what was going on. But that makes 110% total sense to me now that you say it.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, Chipotle's up 38% on the year. Who might have told them to do something wrong? What is Kava up year to date? I actually did not write that down. With a 16% gain this week. Let's see here. Up just a casual 118% year to date. Man,
Yeah,
really
I think
shout out Tom the savings captain.
right.
If you put $1
Anything
into
more
Kava,
there on Tuesday after close? A whole lot of I don't know what these companies are, to be quite honest.
I would say just for fun, Box has a fun day. Let's see what I'm killing a little time since I have a little extra because we didn't do Monday. Box,
Sure.
they do enterprise. Oh, this might actually be fun when we get to Salesforce in a minute. Box up 5.5% almost on the week. They do enterprise IT and admin, governance, zones, relays, shuttle, and key safe. One of you out there knows what that means. They did beat earnings, 39 cents a share actionable, over 36 cents a share estimated. So let's keep that one in mind when we talk about ticker CRM Salesforce here in a minute, because
Yeah.
here's an enterprise software that's up 5% on the week.
Fair enough. Let's skip over to Wednesday. Abercrombie and Finch, Chewy, Dick's Sporting Goods, Auto Parts, another Canadian bank down here, Bank of Montreal, ticker symbol BMO. Let's get into before open on Wednesday, because as you mentioned, there's after close Wednesday, the whole Salesforce thing, ticker symbol CRM. But what do you got going on there before open on Wednesday?
So I kind of skip the clothing wear brands because I don't really care about that, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I say that as I did do a deep. Well, I shouldn't word it like this. As I looked heavily at Victoria's Secret's earnings report just a few weeks back. But let's start with Chewy. Which actually, Dave, let's start a fun fact. Who is the CEO of GameStop right now?
Roaring Kitty.
Okay, but like actually.
I that was my best guess.
So CEO of GameStop is a man named Ryan Cohen. Ryan is from Montreal, actually.
Oh,
And what is Ryan famous for?
I don't know. The only famous Ryans in Canada are Reynolds and Gosling, so who knows?
Yeah. He might be richer than them both. Ryan Cohen founded Chewy in 2011.
I highly doubt he's richer than Ryan Reynolds because that guy closes
Okay,
billion-dollar deal
yeah.
after billion-dollar deal.
Oh, now I gotta look it up. Ryan Cohen net worth 3.8 billion. Ryan Reynolds 300. That can't be right. That says 350 million. Okay, well,
No way.
somebody in the chat tell me why that's wrong, because that's definitely not
Yeah,
right.
that's definitely wrong. Ryan
Um,
Reynolds has to be like the guy, between Mint Mobile and that aviation gin and his soccer team and everything else, like he's got to be worth way more than 350 million.
oh, without a doubt. But I guess to get into Chewy stock, Ryan Cohen stepped down from Chewy. Rather, he was bought out of Chewy back in 2018. So, but man, they are doing just fine without him. Chewy jumped more than 27% this week. EPS came in at 31 cents a share, over 7 cents a share expected, which again is just a casual, 450% beat.
Oh, not bad. Like you
Yeah,
said, casual,
yeah,
450%,
casual.
whatever.
Uh,
All good, right?
The big thing that people liked was, again, Chewy 2011 platform is 13 years old. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's a pretty young platform, especially when you have like Amazon's been around since like the early 90s. And that,
Right.
and of course, so they've been kind of been in growth mode as any 13-year-old startup is. Um, and they announced they've kind of reached a formula for stabilized customer growth, and profit margins grew this quarter, and they're expected to keep growing. Chewy sees a route forward where they're not going to grow as much because they've kind of hit that point as a company, but profit margins over the next 3 to 5 years are going to skyrocket.
Wow. Interesting.
Do I have anything else on Chewy? One thing I kind of noted on Chewy. So, and again, anybody out there in the chat, I saw a lot of mixed opinions on Chewy. Some analysts called it overweight, some called it undervalued, and it can't be both. So, what do you think it is?
Right. Hard to say, right?
Very hard to say.
Dick's Sporting Goods, Advanced Auto Parts.
I wasn't gonna hit Dick's. Please, nobody. I knew it. I knew it. Nobody clipped that.
Oh God! Please, somebody clip that.
I wasn't going to talk about Dick's Sporting Goods. As soon as that came out of my mouth, I knew you were going to say something.
I didn't say anything. I just laughed hysterically.
Well, okay, you got me on that one. But anyway, Dick's Sporting Goods up more than 20% on the week, which, man, for an established brick and mortar retailer, is ridiculous. And I want to take this point to shout out my mom, who had a fight with our local Dick's Sporting Goods back in like 2009, 2010. And told them she'd never be back. She has kept that promise.
15 years later, never been back.
No.
Granted. Good for Mama. Good for Mama.
Probably helps that all the kids are out of the house not playing sports anymore. But either way, she was not a part of this, where Dick's beat earnings $3.30 a share actual over $2.90 a share expected. Unfortunately, that is not a crazy percentage, but it is still a pretty nice beat. Big thing, though, that I gotta like pre-think everything I say out loud for the rest of this analysis. The big thing that people liked about Dick's Sporting
I'm just too immature to handle it.
Exactly. They raised expectations pretty hard. Like growth was better. It was better than it. God. The next sentence out of my mouth was growth was better than expected this quarter.
I'll give you that one. I'll
let you have it. I really should have, like, 3 months from now, I'm going to try to plan as many of these innuendos out as I can, because I'm now realizing
I'll be rolling on the floor laughing. I will be.
It'll be like a scene out of Airplane. There's this week's movie recommendation. Everyone go home and watch Airplane.
Yeah, great movie. Leslie Nielsen, another Canadian actor. You just keep shouting them out.
Just don't call me Shirley. But yeah, Dick's Sporting Goods raised expectations. They see same-store growth, overall profit margin, and overall revenue growth jumping quite a bit for the rest of 2024. And I want to jump into this now. We saw it with Chewy, who raised expectations. We're going to see it a few more times. A lot of stocks jumped pretty well this week. A lot of brick-and-mortar stocks I think the first time since we've been doing this, Dave, on raised expectations for the rest of the year.
Right.
Did economic fears disappear this week? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it certainly, yeah, I mean, of course, it's always tough to say, but of course it sure seems like it.
Okay, are you done with Dick's?
I am, yes.
Let's jump into that BMO, another Canadian bank, Bank of Montreal, paying a dividend since it's been paying a dividend longer than any other Canadian bank. I think I've quizzed you on this one before. Do you remember the date?
Like 1815 or something. It's been over 200 years now.
Yeah, actually almost 200, 1829. It'll be 200 years in 5 years from now, 195 years.
That rounds up.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got about BMO. BMO was actually down 7.5% on the week, which for a Canadian bank, which are historically seen as pretty stable, and for good reason due to Canadian banking laws. Man, 7.5% in a week. That's a pretty big drop.
It's a big drop. Yep.
Big thing we saw with them, they did miss earnings, $1.91 a share, actual over 202 a share expected. Good news for all you BMO holders out there, they did hike the dividend.
Yeah.
I did not write down a percentage. I don't know how much, but looks like 195 is going to be 196 pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
So that said, if you had a dividend hike, a basic earnings hit, and a solid stock, what pushes a stock down almost 8% on the week? And this is exactly what we were talking about. It's the same thing that pushed Scotiabank down. That loan loss provision was higher than expected, and their overall credit losses were significantly, I don't have a number, I just wrote significantly in my notes, higher than expected.
Right.
So again, there's an inverse economic indicator for what I was just talking about with the sporting goods and Chewy. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that word again because it sounds like, and we heard it. We're going to hear it from basically all the Canadian banks this week. Sounds like Canadians are defaulting on some of their
Not
debt.
that they're defaulting, is that the banks are being overly cautious with those loan loss provisions.
That is fair as well. I can agree with you on that.
And so what we could see here, well, obviously we'll talk about all of these Canadian banks in 3 months again from now. And so what we may see, as I alluded to earlier, the Bank of Canada is expected to begin cutting interest rates in June. So
Mm-hmm.
if those interest rates begin going down, and it's going to be gradual. It's not going to be like there's a big hack at the right of the in June. It's going to be June, then a month or two later, and then another slight decrease. And the whole idea, obviously, will be at that point that okay, these loan loss provisions, people can still afford their mortgages and
Yep.
their car loans and their loans for whatever else they might have a loan for, right?
I mean, makes sense to me.
Yeah. So again, Canadian banks, obviously they're healthy. Sure, we've seen Scotiabank and BMO here miss by a little bit, but
But
three
yeah,
months down the road, I like their position going forward. Am I
yeah.
biased? Yes, but we
I,
both know
I,
that.
I don't think anyone's afraid of collapse.
No,
I think
like when they've been around for 200 years, they're not going to collapse all of a sudden out of nowhere, right?
I was saying I think most people who hold Canadian banks, and it's why it's the reason I hold Royal. Um, you're not really there for the share price growth. You're there for that dividend that you know is not going anywhere.
Right.
Like it's basically a preferred stock at this point.
With that said, I kick myself every day for not buying Royal Bank in 2012 or 2014 or whatever year it was, 20 in the early 2010s at 42 Canadian dollars, and it's now trading at about 145 or 147 Canadian dollars. So there still can be growth there as well.
Say, oh yeah, I mean that, and God, your yield on cost right now would be ridiculous.
Right. Right.
So that
Okay, where are we
said,
going next? Are we getting into after close and the big one of the week, Salesforce? What happened there?
Salesforce down a little bit more than 15.5% on the week. Which, by the way, Salesforce ticker CRM. I don't know how nobody snatched it up before them. Phenomenal ticker. They did actually beat earnings, 244 a share, actual over 237 a share expected. Basically, the big thing is they announced that growth is slowing hard.
Right.
And I don't exactly mean revenue growth, because revenue growth was 10% year over year, which is definitely not a bad metric. But we look at these CRM, these enterprise softwares, it is an extremely oversaturated market. And where Salesforce may, in a lot of ways, be the top dog, especially for medium-sized to larger businesses, you can only, again, your customer base is only so many people.
Fair
So
enough.
they've stated themselves growth is going to slow down. It's oversaturated. They're not going to hit near the customer acquisition or its overall sales growth numbers they've been hitting for the last, 5-6 years now. Um, and they're going to spend a lot more time focusing on profitability. And I guess Salesforce, I don't actually know what year they were founded. I should probably check on that real quick. Let's see your
So
sales.
yeah, I'm not
They're
sure how long they've been around either. A couple questions about Salesforce. Like, what happened after market close on Wednesday? Because they just, well, they tanked, right? Like, what were they
set,
down?
almost 18%.
Yeah, I was gonna say 15 to 20%, so 18. And then everybody wakes up Thursday morning and sees this, and it was like, WTF, right? Like, whoa, what happened?
I mean, I'm also a firm believer. Salesforce, I think, has been in a bubble for about 2 quarters. Again, not financial advice, but I think Salesforce has been in a bit of a bubble for probably about 2 quarters now. Of course, they got the COVID bump because at this point, who didn't in 2021? Um,
Right.
but again, you and I were talking about this like 3 months ago. Salesforce saw a pretty big jump back in like February on news they were integrating AI into their platform. They didn't really elaborate on that at all, but because they said the magic word, stock jumped like 15-16%.
The
And
magic letters of AI, right?
exactly, which C3 AI up 23% this week. I have nothing else to talk about with them, but kind of on the subject. You say the magic letters, your stock price goes up.
My other question about Salesforce is, what do they do? Does anybody know what they actually do?
Uh, I mean they're a CRM software. They do customer relationship management. My old employer, we use Salesforce, and not because of Salesforce, but because of the way management worked with it, it was the absolute bane of my existence. Because I can tell you, you will hear this at millions of companies across the U.S. If it's not in Salesforce, it didn't happen. Which
Oh,
makes sense. I get it. It's a CRM software. I don't work sales though. And do I really need to put in CRM every time I say John called because he was having trouble processing payroll? Reset John's payroll login and it worked. And
right.
if I didn't put that ticket in, I got my hand slapped. um,
Okay.
but again, that's me complaining about my non-publicly traded former employer, who I will not dox because they were very good to me in a lot of other ways. But yeah, CRM software, customer service, automation, especially when it comes to marketing, community management, collaboration. I'm probably reading straight off their Robinhood because I did read that before this call. It's probably like word for word what Robinhood has, and it sure
Fair enough.
is. Um, but I mean, yeah, that's really all I can say is they're a CRM. If you work with a lot of external customers, you like Salesforce.
Anything more from after close on Wednesday? Speaking of those magic letters, C3.ai. Who knows what that is?
So I'll tell you,
UiPath.
C3 is kind of it's cool to me because their ticker is AI, which like we just that's a money printer. Stock
Yeah,
actually
exactly. Right there, you
I
see it. AI.
I know very little about them. I know the stock IPO in late 2020. They're down like 70 or 80% since then, but they are up like 22-23% on the week. And I'm kind of just like quick scrolling their page right now. They're not profitable, but they did solidly beat earnings, negative 11 cents a share over negative 30. But yeah, they do AI. That's really all there is to it.
Interesting one there. Hewlett Packard. Hewlett Packard is another one of those companies that's just been around for eons. I
I
don't
didn't
know.
even
Any
know that.
thoughts there?
Actually, no. Wait. Oh, actually, a little bit. Up 11.5% on the week. 82 cents a share actual, 81 cents a share expected. So we're going to call that an earnings hit. The big thing that people liked for HP was their PC business grew significantly, like way more than basically every other line of business. I don't have a number on that, but we're going to talk about that here when we get to Best Buy tomorrow. And basically, HP said they're going to start focusing a lot more on their PC business because it's obviously working. It's by far their biggest revenue driver. It's their biggest growth driver. And they're going to listen to what the market wants, and they're going to put time and money into it.
Fair enough. And as you say tomorrow, you mean Thursday.
I sure do.
A lot going on Thursday. For some reason, Royal Bank, that we already mentioned, did report on Thursday, but it is not on the this graphic. A lot going on here, as you just mentioned. Best Buy before open, after close. One of the big dogs. Their Costco, Adele. Jump into Thursday.
Yeah, so we'll start with before open. I actually, you know what? I don't really know whether it was before open or after close. We're going to talk Royal real quick.
Sure.
Full confession, I'm a Royal shareholder, so whatever I'm about to say may benefit my own position. $2.15 a share actual, $2.02 a share expected. Did beat earnings. We're going to call that a beat. Up 4.25% this week, which again, hey, pretty good for a Canadian bank. Big thing with them. Again, what I talked about earlier. What Scotia did wrong, what hurt Scotia helped Royal. Royal's credit loss provisions were significantly less than expected, which is usually kind of a bit of a nothing metric when it comes to, 99% of the time. But when you saw the Bank of Montreal miss that credit loss and you saw the Scotia Bank miss that credit loss, having one of the same banks in the same country beat it feels pretty significant. And big thing that I thought was kind of cool with them, of course, they do report revenue by division. And their capital markets division, revenue was up 31% year over year.
Oh, wow.
Ridiculous growth metric. Again, with a company that's been around 200 what years now?
Paying a dividend since 1870. They're the baby of the Canadian bank dividends.
I guess, but what year were they founded? 1864. Oh, not long before that. Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So moving on, I got to hit Dollar General as someone who grew up in the
Hold
American
on, just
South.
before you do move on, we need to kind of point this out as well for those who may not know. Royal Bank is the largest company in Canada by market cap, bar none. Right? Like, just so you know, just throwing that out there. It's number one.
But it's like a ninth of an NVIDIA.
Well, that's because Nvidia is bigger than the entire Canadian stock exchange.
Oh wow, it's not even a tenth of an NVIDIA. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I know, crazy, right?
Ooh, that's ridiculous. Okay, shout out NVIDIA. We talked about you last week. If you want to hear about NVIDIA, go hit the replay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do want to hit Dollar General. Just because if anyone else who grew up in the American South, charter, blue collar investments, I know you're watching this, or I hope you are. I'm sure you can relate. Dollar General, literally everywhere. We just bought a second house. It is a 5-minute drive from house to house. I passed 2 Dollar Generals on the way.
Right.
Yeah, stock was actually down 1.5% on the week, despite being up a little more than 7% today. $1.65 a share actual, $1.57 a share expected. Same store sales were actually up 2.4% year over year, which again, we're talking about Dollar General, a company with 60,000 million 100 stores, and that's pretty good.
Bazillion.
I mean, if there is land, there is a Dollar General. Like when Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, he went straight to Dollar General. You know how it is. But that said, they did cut their forecast for the rest of the year slightly, hence why they were down on the week.
Before you get into Best Buy, I see there at the top of before open on Thursday is actually, that looks like Canopy Growth.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them.
They are a Canadian marijuana company. And if you had bought this stock in 2014 and sold it in 2020, you would have done very well. If you bought it in 2020 and sold it in 2024, you would not have done very well at all. So
I'm going to keep. I'm going to keep that going. If you bought it 6 years ago today.
Sorry, I lost the graphics here. What day am I on? Yeah, Thursday. Sorry there.
If you bought Canopy Growth 6 years ago today, May 31st, 2019 or 2018, excuse me, you would be down 96.3% right now.
That sounds about right. But if you bought it in 2012 and sold it in 2018 or 19, how much would you have been up?
So the graph I'm on only goes back to 2018. Let me see if I can
Okay,
find
fair
it.
enough. Yeah. Oh, that's because they had a name change around that time. I can't even remember. Oh, they were called Tweed before then.
Okay. Let's see here. So they IPO'd in 2014 at 30.85 a share, and their all-time high was actually in 2019 at 490.80 USD a share,
Right.
which is I can't even do that. That's it's a lot of growth. It's a ridiculous amount of growth.
So that's just kind of the story of the entire marijuana industry, especially in Canada, since it, long before it became fully legal, there was all these medical marijuana stocks, and Tweed was one of them, which later, like as I alluded to, later became Canopy Growth,
Mm-hmm.
and there was opportunity there, and then there wasn't, and then there wasn't. It's quite
I
the
think
story of, you know, if you could time the market on that one, you could have made a lot of money. Sorry I know you wanted to, I think, jump to Best Buy before we get into the after close on Thursday.
I did because Best Buy is a good one that goes in hand with HP, and also with Dick's Sporting Goods. Best Buy is up 21% this week. $1.20 a share actual over $1.08 a share expected. Dave, they said the letters that they're up 20% this week because they said it. Best Buy
They said what?
is
What did they say? What did they say? What did they say?
AI.
Oh,
New
that's how
new.
old and forgetful I am, man. Like I can't even remember what you said 4 minutes ago.
I would say laptop companies like HP, or really PC laptop companies like HP, who are now integrating AI solutions directly into their products. Consumers across the board are going crazy for new computers, new laptops, new build PCs, whatever, with AI integration. And Best Buy has jumped on that. And laptop sales alone, because so many consumers want the new laptop with the AI, are through the roof.
Wow.
And no one else seems to be jumping on AI powered laptops like Best Buy is. They are
Yeah, that makes
absolutely
sense. That makes sense.
at
That I
the
suddenly want an
forefront.
AI powered laptop. Just because you
It,
said it, I suddenly want one.
I'll say, if you get one, please let me know how it is because I'm very happy with what I have and I'm not about to replace it, but it's an interesting concept.
Right. Fair enough. Do we want to talk about Hormel Foods, Burlington, Birkenstock, or let's jump into the big boy of the week?
I think we jump into the big boy.
Costco.
Costco, personal opinions aside, did pretty good. Costco up 1.5% on the week. Actually, real quick hate message. Outdoor Finance. I know you had a kid yesterday, but your Costco opinion is wrong. Sam's.
First,
I'm a Sam.
congratulations on the
Yeah,
baby.
well, I already texted him that. He knows. But I haven't. I'm publicly shaming him now for his Sam. I'm a Sam's Club believer.
So, okay, we need the full story here. What's going on there with your
Uh,
back and forth?
well, I mean, he and I haven't gone back and forth because I know he's busy and I haven't wanted to pick the fight yet. He tweeted something out the other day that was just Costco is better than Sam's. Like that's the tweet. And hard to disagree. I'm a Sam's Club believer. You take your
Well,
$1.50 hot dog and
so we've only got the one option here in Canada, but we do not have Sam's Club, but we do have a lot of Costco's. I actually saw a graphic today about the number of Costco's in the world. Obviously, the majority of them are in the U.S., but Canada had like the number two amount, and so there's a lot of Costco's in Canada as well. Now, here's a really interesting thing about Costco: is that a hot dog costs, or is it a hot dog and a drink? Is it a combo?
yep,
A
hot
dollar
dog
fifty,
combo, $1.50.
a
Yep.
dollar 50 Canadian. So you could bring your $1.50 American here, and you're basically spending, what is that, about $1.50, $1.20 for your
Give or
hot dog
take,
and
yeah.
drink.
I think about $1.05, even less.
There
And
you go. So
totally aside, this is also kind of relevant. These big box stores are so weird. I told this story about Walmart last week, but it happened again at Sam's when I actually went last weekend. My wife and I went for groceries and came home with a mattress.
right. And that's exactly what these big box stores want. They want you to come in for, like, I go to Walmart, and I have a local here. It's a Walmart Supercenter, and I go in to buy, your normal groceries, and you get some whatever, some apples and some milk and some bread and who knows what else, and then, oh, while I'm here, I'm also going to get, oh, I need water softener salt. Oh, I need this or that, or right, like, oh, there's also this here, and you just pick it all up because you're there, right?
Yeah, I'm a little ashamed of this. I was sent to Sam's Club for groceries, and I came back with a mattress and 4 brand new smoke detectors, and that was it.
Nice. Oh, you forgot the groceries.
Entirely. Um, it worked. It worked out though. We have groceries. We will eat this week. I promise.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, into Costco's earnings, they're up 1.5% in the week. Did have a slight beat on earnings. I think when you get these high numbers, we call it a hit. 378 a share actual over 370 a share expected, but they actually had some really good numbers. Revenue was up 9.1% year over year. E-commerce and online sales were up 20.7% year over year. And their overall gross profit margin across all lines of business last year at this time was 10.3%. Now it's 10.8. Interesting thing with Costco is they did not provide any guidance for the third quarter at all, which is,
That seems odd, doesn't it?
it does. I mean, you're not required to provide that. There's no law that says, but it is super weird that a company won't
Yeah.
do that. And I don't know. Investment Kage, if you're watching, I know you're into reading the 10Ks. Does Costco usually not do that? But I can tell you the 3 articles I read about it all made it a point to say that Costco did not report any forward analytics or forward looking. But maybe they just don't do that. I don't know.
Fair enough. More from Thursday, Dell. We were kind of talking about Best Buy and HP. So, any thoughts on Dell?
So here's my hot take. If you haven't invested in Dell yet, this not financial advice. I am not registered. I am not licensed. But if you haven't invested in Dell yet, man, this might be your last shot.
Yeah.
Dell is down about 11% on the week, down almost 18% today. And let's just kind of back up a little bit. We've talked about Dell a few times. Dell's up 85% on the year, 200% year over year, 320% in the last 5 years. And like, screw NVIDIA, Dell is winning the AI game, and they're going to win it in the long term. That's my honest hot take.
Sorry, repeat that. Dell will beat. Did you say Dell is going to win the AI game?
I honestly believe that.
Wow.
Dell is killing it. Dell, again, they're down. They hit earnings, $1.27 a share actual, $1.26 expected. But then you dig into the numbers, and like, they're good. They're really good. Overall revenue was up 6% year over year. Their AI sector of their business grew 22% quarter over quarter. And their server division grew 42%. For because Dell's selling. I mean, granted, Nvidia's got a contract with SMCI, Super Microcomputers Inc., and a couple other people to do like their servers and all that. I guess I'm really thinking more so like ChatGPT. But somebody's got to work with everybody else, and Dell is, and they are killing it. The problem is with Dell right now is that their AI model, their AI servers, their AI chips, everything they do are absolutely killing it. And a lot of people are saying that their servers, they have the most AI optimized servers on the planet right now.
Wow, I did not know that. That's impressive.
Yeah, Dell is cutting edge in the tech game right now. The problem is that Dell's been around for what? How long now? 1984, and AI has really been a thing for 2-3 years now. Really, like a major thing. So Dell's got a lot, has basically 30 plus 35 years of legacy business right there. And the problem is that Dell's legacy business is not doing well. Their PC manufacturing, their laptops, their printers, everything else is not doing well. And you look at, they haven't been doing well in that sense for a little bit now. You look at, what has kept them afloat, and it's been a lot of debt, a lot of bond issues. So again, Dell's been exploding for the last year, 202% growth. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm a firm believer that as soon as Dell shakes off basically what's left of its legacy business model, it's going to explode if it's not about to do that already. So again, not financial advice. Do your own research. Do not buy based off of this podcast. But I implore everyone watching this to as soon as we hop off, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, then go look up Dell stock.
That is a very interesting hot take.
I say that I don't know it's a hot take, but I legitimately think not enough people are talking about Dell right now.
Fair enough.
Um,
Or I was going to say anything more for Thursday.
The only other one I really wanted to hit was Ulta. Ulta sponsor the pod. Dave and I, of course, we got to get our on-camera makeup done before every live podcast, and all of that does come from Ulta. I can say that 100% of the makeup products that I've bought in the last year have come. I don't know. Is that misleading? I don't think I've bought makeup in going on 27 years now. But yeah, Ulta. Ulta, woo. What you been up to, Ulta? You're up 2.6% today, 4.6 this week, but down 19% on the year. 647 a share actual, 624 expected, which actually saw an earnings beat with a revenue beat, a very, very like a 500,000 earnings beat, which we're talking about a company that does 20 billion plus in revenue a quarter. 500,000 is about a rounding error.
Right.
Yeah, Ulta, same store sales down, overall sales down. Ulta is not the market force that it was. I mean, I don't want to say pre-COVID because, I mean, it is a brick and mortar store, and COVID, of course, did a number on brick and mortar stores, but you're only up 17.7% over the last 5 years total after seeing, I mean, because if we look at Ulta's share price in 2007, really up until about 2020, I mean, if you could see on Ulta's graph the 2020 market crash, or I guess it really started in 2019. They kind of just, I mean, I don't know, like it's been a downwards trend in a lot of ways, and they've seen some recovery, but like we're talking about a stock that from 2007, late 2007 to 2019 did almost 1,000% growth over an 8-year period. Since then, they've done about 100, which I mean, it's still not bad by any
good,
means, but like,
yeah,
it's a 10th.
Yeah,
something's slowing
still
down.
good growth,
Something's
but
slowing
when
down
you're
hard.
used to that 1,000% growth, like what's happening? Where are we going? What's going on now? Right?
I mean, absolutely 100%. And like, if Ulta had reported last week or 2 weeks ago when we were still talking about the bad outlooks and like how brick and mortar stores and like especially consumer discretionary purchases were getting hammered, then I'd be like, okay, Ulta's just a victim of the industry. But then we look at, the other brick and mortars we talked about, Dollar General, Costco, Best Buy, Dick's Sporting Goods, who all reported this week and blew it out of the water. So it's obviously not a brick and mortar problem. It's an Ulta problem.
Are we jumping to Friday?
Yeah, we can try.
So, as you mentioned today in one of our tweets back and forth, that you were like, it's pretty much a 3-day week. All I have for Friday is a little bit of a story, which I've shared with you 3 months ago. How BRP, ticker symbol DOOO, is a Canadian snowmobile skidoo manufacturer, and outdoor recreational vehicles. So your 4-wheelers and your side by sides and they may even have dabbled into boats as well. I'm not 100% sure. I guess part of the story though is, and I did look this up after the last time because I was like, I think this is right, but I was correct. So Bombardier started out way back in, or well, Bombardier you probably know as I want to say the 1950s in Quebec, and they did start out building skidoos and so snowmobiles, and then grew over time, and Bombardier got into, aviation and railways, like building rail cars and building all sorts of different things. And so now Bombardier is this totally separate company. I think it was 2003 where they kind of split the two companies into
We
the
looked
higher
it
tech,
up.
sort of
I
the
I
aviation and the rail, and then the DO or BRP, which is the um, like I said, just your outdoor recreational vehicles, your four wheelers, your snowmobiles, your side by sides, and possibly boats as well. So that's just kind of like the story of Skidoo and the history, a little bit of the history of Bombardier.
Yeah, we talked about it last time. I remember looking that up, and also while you were talking, I looked up Genesco, um, who actually own a lot of brands and like stores you may have heard of.
Yeah, sounds believable.
Journeys, Scup, SCHUH, Burgundy, Johnson and Murphy, Levi's, Dockers, Bass, and those are just the big hitters.
So like Levi's, the jeans, and Dockers. Like, what are Dockers? Are they shoes or shorts or something?
I thought they were shorts, but now I think I'm thinking of Dickies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're shoes. Genesco wildly unprofitable. Negative 210 a share actual, negative 270 a share expected. So maybe not as somebody in the chat. Let me know what the heck happened with Genesco because I look at Q4 2023, they were wildly profitable, 306 a share, but now we're down to negative 210 a share. It's been a year. What happened?
Yeah. Who
These are
knows?
brands that like especially like high school and early college me. Journey's got way too much of my money. Um, so yeah, somebody let me know because now I'm curious. Now I want to know.
Well, and that's it, man. That is the weekly close live. It's a wrap. We went through the closing numbers. We went through the earnings reports. A lot of Canadian banks reporting this week. There was actually EQB and Laurentian Bank that reported this week as well. And honestly, I do not know enough about EQB. They're an online bank. They do not have any brick and mortar stores. If you want to learn about EQB, ask Anthony at Newcomer Investor on Twitter. He will tell you everything there is to know about EQB. Laurentian Bank is one of the so in addition to the big five or six, there's actually literally two more banks in Canada, and Laurentian Bank happens to be one of them. I didn't really look at their earnings at all today because I knew we weren't going to be talking about it. So, um, yeah. So props to everything that happened this week. Salesforce, crazy, crazy after close on I believe that was Wednesday.
Yes.
Crazy. And then, like I said, when we were going over the closing numbers today, what somebody please let us know in the comment because we're about to log off here, so the chat's going to be gone. But let us know in the comments what happened in the last 20 minutes of the markets today, like from 3:40 to 4 p.m. today Eastern time. Like, what a rally! What a crazy rally! And that was across the board, right? We saw it on the TSX, the S&P, the Dow, even the Nasdaq, everywhere.
Real quick,
Crazy.
do you still have X pulled up?
Why? What would you like to see?
Can you pull up outdoor finance real quick?
Ooh, I can try.
All right, I want to give him one final shout out before I say mean things to him later on Twitter.
Oh, I'm gonna have to actually search him. Didn't come up right away. Oh, got to spell it correctly. Yeah, there we go. You follow each other.
I'd hope so. He was
Yeah,
on your
definitely.
podcast.
Now I got to share screen again. Sorry, I'm.
Hey, real quick, everybody at home, I kind of just sprung this on Dave last second. I did not tell him that I wanted to see this before we left.
There we go. Outdoor Finance on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Definitely worth a follow. Go
Good
and
guy.
at Outdoor Finance. As Joseph alluded to, he has been on the Passive Income podcast. I'd love to have him back on again. I think is this what we're getting to? The baby,
That's gonna
as
say
you
he
see,
put.
I've already hit like there myself. The
I'm
baby
still.
is here. Words can't even begin to describe how beautiful she is. I hit like on that one too.
Yeah, say it's a good tweet. Shout out, baby outdoor, and shout out.
Baby outdoor.
That's
Exactly.
that's what I've been calling her in DMs. Baby outdoor, and his wife is Mrs. Outdoor, and he hasn't argued with me yet.
Nice. So sorry, why did you want me to bring this up?
Oh! Just to publicly say something nice about him after I said mean things about him.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, all good. Well, there we go, man. Another Friday, another wrap. The weekly close live is closing down until next Friday at 5:30 Eastern Daylight Time,
And we will be here.
and we will be here. Thanks everyone for being here and joining us. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, following whatever platform you're on, and we will see you again next Friday.
Yep. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next week.